I'm Natalie.
And this is Twyla and Natalie.
We're going to chat with you all about the joys, the pitfalls, what it's like being a grown woman.
Indeed. Every week we ask a question, and usually it's something that pertains to our lives, and we have a bit of a discussion about it, and hopefully we come to an understanding that is universal and hopefully answers a question for ourselves as well. So this week's question, I feel like we're about to dig ourselves a hole. We're going to get a bunch of trouble by the time we answer it. But the question is, do you spy on your loved ones?
Yes.
Do you really?
Oh, my gosh.
Okay.
Well, I don't call it spying. I call it focused attention. To me, spying is kind of more of you're being shady about it. You know, with my specifically children, it's always been very overt. I'm watching you. I know what you're doing. You know, you got to remember you're talking to the woman who tracks her kids through the GPS in their phone.
That's true. You do that.
I do.
But most people do that nowadays, I feel like.
You know, I don't know. Sometimes I talk to parents, and you know what, Twyla? So my adult children, I have one of them where she and I can track each other.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it is so I know, you know, when she's getting close to my house. She lives an hour and 15 minutes away.
Right.
Or I like being able to, it's an app where I can see where she's at, but say if I can't reach her on the phone, I can look and see where she is and I can go, oh, she's at work. That's why she's not picking up. I know she's not going to respond for a while.
Right.
And I have peace of mind. Or when she drives home, especially now that she's driving, you know, I have a grandson and know they got there without having to call or send a text, whatever.
Yeah, be worried.
Yeah. And then with my stepkids who are younger, it's nice. So if I'm not home, when they get home, I can see that they made it home, you know, off the school bus, that kind of a thing.
That makes sense.
Yeah. You can, they have ones out there, the one I use where you can I get an alert if they leave the school, which, you know, later on and they're, you know,
they're young still yet though.
They're young and they're good kids, but you know what? I'm sorry. We all think our kids are great and they start off good, but I'm just saying be prepared. I think it's a nice thing. It's a safety issue too.
Yeah, I mean, my kids don't have phones yet, so
yeah,
you know, my stalking has to be good old fashioned. Like, I'm just gonna ride up in my van and see where you're at. So.
Yeah, or you know, there's even times. So my phone will send me an alert when they get home, and sometimes I am home. So I say they're out with friends and they're coming home at a certain time.
Mm.
And I've taken the bra off and I'm running around. And these are my stepkids and they're both boys.
Right.
So I put a bra back on or a very
get appropriate.
I get a baggy sweatshirt, whatever it is, to dress appropriately when my stepsons are there.
Right.
Something as simple as that, Twyla, where I'm like, okay, I get a little ding. I know they're within, you know, a few 100 feet, yards, whatever it is, to the house, and then I know, okay, now I got to get ready or whatever.
Okay, I will be honest. I don't spy on my kids in terms of like where they are in the world because only one has a cell phone, and let's be honest, he doesn't have privileges with that thing most of the time. So I have 2 cell phones right now. That's kind of how it's gonna be.
So when you have his phone, do you ever go through it?
Oh yes, that's a given. Now I will.
And
say
see,
this.
to me, that's not spying. That's called being a dang parent.
Well, we were very clear in the beginning that anything that we pay for doesn't actually belong to you. It belongs to us.
No, children do not have the right to privacy.
And as long as you live in my house, I will take whatever measures are necessary to make sure that you don't die before you're of legal age.
Yeah, exactly.
So, so we were very honest about, like, you know, as long as when you have a tablet or a computer or phone, they need to be used in common areas. We will be searching the history. Please don't think you're slick and think you're erasing the history because I know people and I know how to get back into that. Well, yeah, because that's the thing, too, because, like, you know, kids that are pretty tech savvy will think they'll do the simple thing. They'll erase the history and think, okay, solved it. And I'm like, nah, baby, I got tricks, too.
Which right there is a red flag. If you look and you can tell when the history's been erased, the first thing you can do is, oh, really? Why are we doing that?
Well, we know why they're doing
that.
I mean, we know why they're doing it. I always say all the time, as an adult, I should probably erase my browser history because half the time I work on a show with a gynecologist and we talk about sex and sex-related topics. Yeah. And if you look through my browser history, boy, do I seem interesting and or really into kinks.
Oh, totally.
That's it.
Even as a writer, and when Twyla and I used to be in radio, we used to have to Google some crazy things.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought the same thing. If someone looked at my Google history, I would look like a maniac.
Look, I still need to clear my phone because I keep all my old photos on my phone, and there's And there is, I can guarantee you, at least 2 pictures of celebrity junk still sitting on my phone from like 4 years ago that I never took off my phone. So I think.
Well, why would you? Sometimes you want to take a look back.
I'm just, reminiscing is good. But you still, like that's still a thing. So, I mean, I do check my kids' browser history. I do check their phone. We have had to have a couple of conversations about like, okay, listen, like let's be clear about what's okay and what's not okay with this thing that I pay money for.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about that kind of thing. So I mean I do that because I just think if you have a kid and there's around the internet these days, you have to. I mean, the World Wide Web is worldwide, and there's all kinds of amazingly weird stuff out there, and it doesn't even take a lot of complicated words to bring up the weird stuff if you're searching for things. So I think that's just your due diligence.
Yeah, and I think I also think there's a healthy relationship when it comes to, like I like to call it, attentive parenting.
Yeah.
Where, with my kids, when my adult kids were younger, they were growing up, especially the challenge, as I like to call her. That's number 2.
Middle
kid. Call her the challenge.
Yay. See, there's a reason why we like each other.
I wouldn't know. And back then we didn't have, cell phones. Actually, no, we did, but they weren't smartphones. They weren't to the degree that they are today.
No, we had pagers, and you couldn't really get that. You couldn't get in that much trouble with a pager because all you could do is like type in numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
Spell
but
out,
when
like, help,
my kids, and this is kind of my rule of thumb with any of them, when the behavior is fishy, when they're either acting up, you can tell when somebody's done something they're not supposed to do.
Oh, yes.
Because they act a fool. There is an attitude that develops. And kids are horrible at hiding it.
Yes.
And that's when and when my daughter used to have, like, I used to call it the blow up. She would have some blow up with me over something that seemed like nothing. There wasn't much going on. Or she reacted oddly to something. I knew that was the time to employ some attentive parenting tactics. And that would be the time where I would go through her garbage. That's how I found out she was on birth control pills and hadn't told me, because she was trying to, quote, regulate her period. That's a whole nother thing. But that's, that it always ended up being the case. And then when things were going well and we were getting along and she was being friendly and all that, fine. I never felt the need to toss her room or go through her stuff. But the minute that attitude showed up.
So you actually do go through the stuff. Like, you would go through stuff.
Absolutely. But I would go through the stuff with, there was probable cause.
Okay, so
there was a reason.
We call that the Law and Order defense, you ladies and gentlemen.
Totally. I'm not sitting at home like, it's 2:00 on a Sunday, I'm going to go toss the kids' room. No, there was probable cause. There was a reason. There was a red flag. And I'm very logical. So when something happens or I get a response that doesn't fit the scenario or what you told me doesn't add up, red flag. And I can't let it go. I either need you to explain it so it makes sense. And that's just the way that my mind works. And maybe it's a little bit of OCD. But if you tell me you left the house at 3, you drove 20 minutes away, but you didn't get there till 40 minutes later, I'm going to go, wait, that's a 20 minute, took you 40 minutes. What happened along the way? Did you stop somewhere? Where were you? It may not matter or what, but it's like little things like that. That's why many people are horrible liars, especially kids.
Most people are, yeah.
Yeah, because they don't.
Most people are. They're horrible liars. It's true.
But can't get the facts straight. And then it's a red flag. So I guess the point I'm trying to make, I'm not looking for it, but I'm very acutely aware of when facts don't add up.
And then you're willing to go the next step.
And for me, a red flag goes off. Because why are you lying? Like, there's now not a reason for you to be lying right now, but you are. And I need to know what that reason is.
See, now when I feel that in my gut, I just get the kids to roll on one another.
Yes, and you employ some serious attentive parenting tactics.
Yeah, like I learned, the best trick I learned was from a friend of mine who's an attorney, who says that she would sit her kids down when something went wrong. Mm-hmm. Just she would separate the kids one at a time. And she would just say, "What happened?" And here's the thing. Here's how simple this is. Don't say anything else. Mm-hmm. Don't fill the void. Yeah, don't say I know or I heard or your brother said nothing. Just say what happened and let them squirm. And they'll say nothing. And then you just keep saying, what happened? And if you do that with enough silence, at some point they crack and they just start telling you stuff you don't even know about. And I only used it the first time I ever used it. I really thought, like, she's full of it, but I'm so tired and I just need to get an answer to this question. Something had broken in my house. Mm-hmm. And I have 3 kids, set them all them separately. It literally took 3 hours because my kids have committed to the OJ lifestyle, which is, they commit to the lie until it's truth. And so I just said to them, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, first was like, I don't know. I didn't do anything. Why are you talking to me? Then it was like, what happened? And then like 20 minutes went by and it was like, well, I mean, I didn't do it.
I only saw it.
Yeah, right. And then like by the end, I mean, I'm telling you, they rolled on each other.
Mm-hmm.
They rolled on themselves. They told me stuff I didn't know about. I was just like, this is genius. So I mean, like I'm not really, and to be perfectly honest, I don't have the wherewithal to search through rooms, and I have 2 messy teenagers, so I don't even want to go in there because I might reach in and find something that's like grown fungus.
I know. I kind of like it. I mean, it's been now years, but I kind of like it. It felt like a mission. Like,
my mom was that person.
To get to the bottom of this.
My mom was that person. She would go in your room, and like if she knew you had something or were doing something you shouldn't be, then she would go and confiscate it, and then she would wait till the next time you're looking for it, and she would wait for you to look frantic, like why can't you find it? And then she would discreetly be like, oh, that thing you were looking for, yeah, I took that already. Yeah. And then you'd be like, oh, like you just, you know, like she always waited for her moment to strike. And so I just was always like, I don't got that kind of energy. I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm just gonna put it out there that I'm on to you.
Well, and taking it out of the realm of parenting either, because I for me, it really starts to change. So the same app I have with my kids where I know where they are, making sure they're where they should be or that they're safe and all that. My partner Tony and I don't have it for each other's phone.
What, you don't have it on his phone?
No.
Why not?
No, because I don't want to. I think that's when you kind of take it too far. Mm-hmm. Now, I've had it where I was on a long drive and I'll do that thing you can through, I think it's Google Maps or something, I don't know, but where he can track. But then he couldn't figure out how to use it anyway, so he didn't know where I was.
Right. So,
but for safety reasons, you know, because it was late. Or
so you'll put it on your phone for safety reasons, not because you're trying to like make sure you know where he is.
Yeah, no, because I don't think that's healthy behavior. If I need to know where he is, if I need to do that, there's something innately wrong with our relationship.
Just gonna say I don't track him per se. I don't have a thing on our phone. Well, my husband's phone is he works in the medical field, so all his stuff has to be, you know, locked up because for HIPAA purposes. He gets people's medical information, so we can't actually get access to his phone that way.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess I'm one of those people that I'm fine until I'm not fine. Like if all of a sudden you start walking like a duck and quacking like a duck.
Yeah.
Then Mama's gonna come searching for.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
If I got probable cause, you know, I know exactly what to do. You know?
Yeah.
But even if you think about, even take it into the realm of when you talk about loved ones, even friends, and for me, I go even more the opposite of how you might think I would because of how I am with my kids. And I don't know if it's because of working in media. People tell me all kinds of things I don't want to know.
Oh,
like I don't want to know this.
I know, we know. You and I get that all the time.
And the other thing is even just take media out of it. There's a big thing I've come to learn just as a citizen, and I think more people need to be aware of this, and maybe I'm more hyper aware of it because, and you and I have talked about this, like we always should be behaving when you're out in public.
Yeah.
But when you're in your community and people kind of might even recognize you from something, you even more so don't want to act a fool.
Well, I told you the only time anybody ever recognized me as a person who worked on the radio was when I'm yelling at my kids in Target. Exactly. I could be like my most sparkling self and looking as good as I could ever look in a public place, and people would never recognize me.
But that whole way of thinking should apply to everyone, because you would not believe the things I hear because somebody's cable repair guy brought up something about somebody, and then that person told me, and the cable repair guy didn't know my connection to this person.
Ooh.
It's like you can't be, you really need to be aware of who you're talking to, when you're sharing things with your hairdresser.
See, I'm having a good moment here where I'm really glad that my husband is where secrets go to die.
Yes.
And that we are like not social enough to actually have people know our business.
But Twilight, this is my whole point. You don't have to be. A lot of how the things that I find out, or I should say I hear about, because most of the time I'm not looking for it, but people just come to me with information, is stuff that you would think it was very benign, or you thought you were speaking in a private setting.
And
it
gets
me,
out.
Girl, if you are on your phone in the grocery store, that's not private.
No, it isn't.
People can hear you, and people make note of things.
Okay,
and you may not recognize that somebody is one aisle over.
Okay, I will be perfectly honest. I have been known to do this because occasionally I'm on my phone in public place, like not obnoxiously, but I'm on my phone. And if I notice somebody's like super big nosy. Have you ever seen that? There's this great viral video of this black lady at Target, and she's like on her phone on her FaceTime, like she's like live streaming it, like pointing out like, why is this lady so close to me? Like she'll like shame the person. I have done that. I have been on the phone like with my sister or something, and somebody will be like next to me, or they'll be like just all in our like in my business, like in I'll be like, you know what's funny? You know what? I'll be like, you know what I hate? Oh my gosh, I hate it when people wear purple coats and bring their cart past me 3 times because they want to hear what I'm talking about. I know, right? Only people that wear purple coats. It's not everybody. It's usually just real nosy white women in purple coats on Tuesdays in Target. And then they'll realize I'm talking about them and they just run.
At least you're bold. When that happens to me, I just change the phone conversation to be, so, well, how deep did you dig the hole? Well, did you put the lime on like I told you? Because that'll cause decomposition real fast. And the life insurance policy, did you get a copy? Girl, I told you to get a copy.
See, remember, I'm black. By the time I get to the front of the store, they'd be tackling me on the ground. I would never make it out of the Target alive. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess, like, when you first asked this question, we put on the grid, I was thinking about, like, I know I don't spy on my husband.
Yeah.
Mostly because I'm just disinterested. Listen. Our understanding is very clear. If you are not having a good time here and you're not okay hanging out with me anymore, you are always free to go. And I'm not being sarcastic at all when I say this.
Yeah.
We have had very long and drawn out specific conversations about what an exit would look like if there needed to be an exit.
Yeah.
I'm always like, please just do me the respectful thing and tell me you want to be out. Don't let me find out in the street that, from somebody else who felt they need to tell me that they saw you doing XYZ, and being disrespectful to me and embarrassing me. Don't do that. If you want to be free, be free. If somebody else is catching your fancy better than me, I will happily support you going out and finding your bliss, because that means I can go out and find mine. I'm okay with that, and he is too. Like we're very, very clear on that.
That's really good, because no one wants to be or feel you're stuck in a relationship that
nobody wants to be embarrassed or humiliated. Yeah. I feel like that's even more so. Like, don't put me in a position where people have to pity me and I have to explain that I'm okay and because you did something stupid you didn't need to do. So, I mean, I'll be honest, that just makes me fairly disinterested. I'm not tracking for him.
Yeah.
I'm probably more of a spy when it comes to my friends, like, to, in terms of, are they okay? Are they doing okay? I hate it when, like the carpool circle starts talking about somebody I know and I don't know if they're okay or not. And then I feel like I got to do like legwork to find out if they're okay, because I don't know that I can ask them if they're okay in that moment. And I'll be honest, sometimes I do that legwork and I feel a little bit gross about it, but I just want to make sure you're okay without, like
being invasive.
Yeah. And sometimes the only way to do that is to like go around the circle and ask, play telephone, which is not the most mature thing to do, but sometimes that's what you wind up doing. I spy on my kids, only to the extent that I want to make sure that they're safe. So I really just spy on their devices. Yeah. I don't spy on, but mind you, my kids have a healthy fear of me, so I don't spy on them when they go out in the street, because they know I will kill them if they're doing something stupid in the street. So that's, I'm fairly, it's kind of fairly open in that way.
When they have, don't you think too, I know in the community we live in, I work in, Tony has a store in, so our younger kids, the stepkids, they know, because we share with them, oh, hey, I heard you are over at so-and-so doing blah, blah. How'd you hear that? Well, so-and-so saw you there on the street. And
see, that's like growing up in a small town. I grew up in a small town. Everybody knew where we were.
Totally. It's like that. So we're not even seeking it out. It comes to us all the time. And you will be amazed. And this is why I just from the get-go try and do my best to just keep my feet and my hands clean, because then I don't need to explain or justify something that I'm doing. Because in what you might think is the most benign situation, somebody sees you, like, okay, let's use the example. Let's say that you're supposed to be at work and it's Monday at 2:00 and I'm your boss. You're supposed to be at work. And then I'm talking to my neighbor while we're waiting for the school bus. And she's like, yeah, well, I was at happy hour the other day at 2:00. And oh, that's right. I saw Bonnie. She works for you, right? Yeah, she was at happy hour too and Bonnie told me she was homesick. Like that stuff happens all the time. And it probably is because the community I live in is very much like a small town.
Yeah, it's a small town.
And you really kind of, so in other words, it's not somebody saying, oh, I saw so-and-so. It's very...
People wind up getting caught in their own little white lies.
Yeah, because it just happens. It's just matter of fact. Nobody's being malicious. Nobody is talking about you. It was just more your conversation It's very social. So it's like, oh, you try to find common points. Oh, I saw someone you work with when I was at happy hour.
See, this is why I'm just upfront. One, this is why I don't socialize. And two, this is why I'm just super upfront. I mean, that's why I say no outright, because then if I don't lie, then I don't have to get caught in
that's what I'm saying. That's why it's so much easier. I could not keep track of the mental acrobatics.
Now, you know,
it would take.
Now, you know what's funny? I don't, like, in my own direct life with the people I know and I trust and stuff, I don't really spy on them in that respect.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm no joke. I will help spy on somebody else's shit in a minute if you need me to.
Oh,
if my girlfriend is worried that something's going on and we need to like pull the brain trust together, it's like, wait, who knows how to break into an iPhone again? Oh yeah. Like if we're worried about something, we kind of will pull out the brain trust and do that. Oh, totally.
And today with technology, it's amazing what you can find out about people.
Oh yeah, like I have, you know, my siblings, one has a boyfriend, one's dating, and we always have okay, we need to Google this person. Right. Like we need to do a reverse search. We need to
right. You can do full blown background checks.
Yeah, we need to do a background check and a catfish search and blah 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 before, you know, we do X, Y, and Z before we give you permission.
People
don't
recognize how many things are actually public record.
I do. just gonna put it out there. I know lots of things.
That's why it's just easier to try and just keep it clean, you know, live a clean life. You know, I try not to break the law. I don't even want to get a speeding ticket.
That's true.
Just don't do it in the first place.
Yeah, well,
somebody is always watching.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, I would like to say that I wish we didn't have a need for all of sort of the levels of spying that get done, but we kind of, sometimes we do. I mean, this is a very strange and fast-paced world that we live in now, and people are going out of their way to really sort of extreme degrees to get access to other people, to get access to individuals. I mean, in ways that you just never would have thought possible. I mean, if you had told me that 10 years ago catfishing would be a thing, I would have been
like what?
Why
would someone want to do that?
Yeah, like it feels like it's too much work, but people do that all of the time. And, you know, then I have to worry about it happening to like my sisters, my friends that I love, and I have to worry about it happening to, you know, like my kids as my kids get older and start dating. You know,
that's why it's easier to just not do things you know are not okay in the first place. Because it always has a way of biting you on the butt. And I'm a big believer in just putting it out there, learning from my mistakes. I try to own the mistakes that I have made. And, you know, I'm not shy about sharing about those, what many would consider more, you know, skeletons in my closet. You know, not me. They're flags flying in the front yard.
Exactly.
I'm open about it.
Exactly.
I know where I made mistakes, and I know how I learned from it and how I turned it into an advantage. And in talking about it and sharing about it, it's often my hope that someone else can learn a lesson from it and not maybe make that same choice that in that moment wasn't the best choice. But when you can do that and be more open about those kinds of situations, you don't need to worry about it. What's somebody going to dig up? You know, what is somebody going to find if there's nothing to be found because you've already owned it or talked about it or bring it up? I've had it come up where, you know, someone who doesn't know me thinks they heard something and like that it's not known.
Oh, I love
that. You know,
that.
like even the like, you know, my baby daddy, my second daughter's father and I were never married. And, you know, kind of it came up at conversation somewhere and they were like, oh, well, you know, and beating around the bush and kind of mentioned it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, totally. And I'm like, yeah, you know, him and his wife were just here. They spent Christmas with us. It's like we're open about these things.
Right.
You know, this is not a secret.
Now, see, I always love it when people, well, I say a lot when we're getting involved with things, especially with school and school activities and things, that if somebody, like sometimes we'll be nervous, like, oh, we don't want to deal with that person, or we don't want to, this could create a situation. And I always tell people, hey, if there's a problem, just blame it on me. And they'll go, really? And I go, yeah.
Twyla has no boundaries, you know her.
Right. They'll say, blame it on me. And they'll go, well, why? I said, well, why would you be comfortable doing that? I go, to be honest, because I'm so upfront with everybody that 99.9% of the time, if somebody has a problem with me, they're not bringing it to me because they don't want to hear what they're going to get.
No. Do you think, though, that because you and I are similar in that way, that we're very, you know, I'm more of an open book than you are.
Yeah.
You're better at
I'm an open mouth. You're an open book.
Yeah, I'm an open book. There's not much I can think of that I wouldn't discuss. So I want someone to come to me if they hear something, think something, don't understand something.
Yeah, I always say just ask.
So that I can address it.
I might say it's none of your damn business, but you can ask.
Yeah, but see, for me, you're rarely going to hear it's none of your damn business. I'm like, well, why do you want, I might ask, well, can I ask why you want to know?
Yeah.
And okay, here's what happened, blah, 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 blah. If it's my business, if it's something that has something to do with me, I will address it with you.
Right.
I'm not necessarily going to address somebody else's business with you.
Now, you know what? I think, and that's a big thing, too, because I get that a lot. I'm still very much in the PTA circle and the mom circles.
Yeah.
Where something will be going around about somebody and people will be convinced you know. And I'll be honest, a lot of time I do know because people just seem to think they can tell me things. And it's just, I just let you, if you need to get it out, then go ahead and get it out. It doesn't mean I'm doing anything with it because I don't think it's useful. But people will come up and be like, "Oh, did you hear or did you know about this?" And I'll be like, "Girl, I don't know. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm staying out of this."
Yeah.
You know, I'm usually quick to go, "Come on, y'all." My favorite thing to say to people is, "You know it's going around if it got to me because I am on the very bottom of the gossip chain. I am the last rung on the chain. I am the person you tell when you took your Vicodin because you left the dentist office and now you just got loose lips and somebody's got to hear it." I am not the person you call first at all. So if I know it, and usually, and especially if it's somebody that I love and care about, they're a friend of mine. If something gets to me gossip wise, I do go straight to them and go, "Hey,
yeah,
I'm telling you because you know nobody tells me anything.
Yeah, totally.
That this is going around, and I'm giving you a heads up that you need to know somebody's talking about your business or your non-business, as it were."
Yeah, and you can get in front of it.
Yeah, I'm always like, I'll just put it out there for you.
Yeah.
I will tell you what I know.
And I feel, don't you think though, too, Twyla, that I feel like it takes away the power.
Oh yeah,
of what it is people think they know when you address it yourself.
That's why I just tell everybody everything, and that's why I always just say, "Hey, listen, if you really want to know, just ask me." Because 99.9% of the time, I'm not ashamed of it.
Yeah.
And that 1% that I don't tell you is usually because my husband's like, "Don't tell people that." So that's which usually means it's related to sex because anything else he doesn't care about. He doesn't care about talking about it or not.
Sometimes I wonder with the things that I hear about different people that end up on my plate for whatever reason, and I don't know if it's just because I'm easy to talk to, like you for you too. You said people bring you all kinds of things.
Yeah, people come and tell me things.
I don't know if it's because of by nature of what I do for a living, and I'm like a vault. There's stuff. People seem to be in two camps who don't know me. They either think that I tell everybody everything just because I work in media and I write a column. And I'm like, if you read it, I write about myself.
Right.
It's about me. That's why it's a column. I'm not a journalist. Or, they just have no idea of how much I actually keep in the vault.
Right.
That I don't talk about, that I don't say, that I do know, and half the time the people, when they bring it to me, I almost look at them kind of funny, like, why are you telling me this? What?
Right, because they think you're going to do something.
There's usually, they have an agenda.
Right.
They are an out with the person they are talking about or something like that.
Right.
And I have to say, thank you, but that's not what I do. I'm not Wendy Williams.
Right.
I'm not a gossip columnist. That's not what I do. And I'm definitely not interested in being your instrument to cause somebody else pain.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think a lot of times that's where that sort of concept of spying can go wrong, is when people are applying it or trying to gather information solely so they have something in their back pocket to throw out there the next time they want to take somebody down a peg, or when they think it's convenient for them to use it. And I'm like, I just don't have the energy for that, y'all. I told you, my default setting is hobo. Do you think that doesn't just apply to my clothes, right? It applies to everything. That's too much thinking. That's too much
minimal
calculating.
effort.
Yeah, that's too much thought. I got kids to raise, and it's already hard enough to try to get around their machinations on a regular basis, let alone trying to worry about adults and the nonsense that they're doing.
And there's a lot too. It never ceases to amaze me. I've had this conversation with my daughters, how, you go through school and then you, like when you're in high school and you think, well, when you're an adult, the adult world will never be like this. So caddy and this team and that team.
Oh no, it's a lot.
All that. It's worse.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Oh yeah.
I tell you all the time, I don't have time for girls. And I don't say stuff. I say another thing. And I say it a lot, that I don't have time for it. So I'd much rather just be sort of everybody be on above board. Now, like I said, mind you, whoever emails me is like, but you just said that you know how to break into an iPhone. I do.
We're not saying we don't have the skills to be really good spies.
Right.
We do. We're just saying we don't employ it unless it's, at the defense of somebody who needs that help.
That's really nice that you said that like that. I was just thinking, don't cross me.
Yeah.
I always say, don't start none, won't be none. Okay.
I know it's real funny because I feel often like I might put up with a lot, or I'll ignore you. There's not much that truly really actually gets to me or hurts me.
Mm-hmm.
But if you hurt somebody I care about,
yeah, that's it.
Then
that's it. I mean,
the earrings come off. It's like, come at me, and that be fine, because really, and I don't know if it's because I've built a thick skin over the years from writing and putting out these things and these personal things.
You've always been a pretty resilient person.
Yeah, that I'm like, and people will sometimes say, oh my gosh, I heard so-and-so said this about you. I'm like, really? People talking about me. Yeah. When one of my editors forwards me some kind of hate mail, I'm like, yeah, because if I'm not upsetting somebody, I feel I'm not reaching enough people.
Yeah, and I remember we used to have that debate at radio all the time, because you'd be like, wow, and I would be like, hold my beer.
Yeah.
and let me answer your question.
Yeah.
And eviscerate you in the process. And then I had to learn, like, okay, it's just not worth it. Like, it's like, do I feel good about it? Yeah, I feel real good I feel real good that I used all my $15 words to put you in your place. I don't even know you. Like, you might be some like old lady or some 15-year-old kid or something that's just like having a bad day.
Yeah.
And I had some, and I've had to learn too, like, that's, you always have to be cognizant of how people are coming at you, even when they're coming at you with information like that.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know what place they're coming from. Like, today just might be a bad day and they told you something they shouldn't have told you.
Yeah, exactly.
And, 2 days from now, they'll be like, oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
And then
people make mistakes.
Yeah. So I just try to be really cognizant of, that's why I try to stay out of the fray of it for the most part. I mean, I'll stand here and watch y'all throw tomatoes at each other all day. Go for it. But I'm, I try really hard to make sure that I'm not in the line of the tomatoes, because you can't get those stains out of your shirt.
I know. And I don't fight. I'm not a fighter. I don't argue. I like to present facts.
I'm reformed.
Yeah, you're reformed. We know you're a fighter.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to give you the drama of the argument. I will state facts. I will back things up with documents, again, because I'm a factual person, and that's the way that I think. So I don't understand when I'm showing you 2 + 2 = 4, not because I say it, but because that's how it is. How you still argue with that? I'm fascinated.
That's why I just cock my head to the side and walk away now. Cause
but I don't engage it. I don't. I'm like I have lost the desire to make somebody see things my way. Like, I'm okay with them not seeing it my way. If you ask me why, and you want to understand why I'm doing or saying what I'm doing, I would love to take the time to explain that. But I'll do it the same way. If somebody's coming at me and they're upset, then, or even being hateful, it's kind of, there's that moment where I kind of go, wow, like, like I'm not upset or hurt by it.
Yeah.
And I want to understand it. So I might say, well, okay, where is this coming from? Most of the time it has nothing to do with me, something that happened to them earlier in life, or I just was the trigger for something or whatever. I want to understand it. I also kind of sometimes, when people do it in a way that's not maybe super hateful, but then them standing up for themselves, there's part of me that stops and goes like, you go, girl, like, hey, look at you, look at you standing up to me. Now, not if it's one of my kids, and it all changes.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, sit down.
Yeah, but to hear, like, you're advocating for yourself. Now, you're wrong.
Yeah, I've had a lot of that.
You're wrong.
I've done
but
it. Yeah.
If it's making you feel better to come at me for whatever perceived reason you think that I'm attacking you or whatever it is, then that's good for you, But it doesn't hit me. I really feel really good about that boundary of, I know what I do and I know what I don't do.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I feel like that's, well, at this point, I'm not encouraging anybody to come after me and start looking for stuff. You probably will find something. Like I said, if you look at my browser history,
that's right. But
there's some explaining to do already.
That's the thing with everybody. Everybody is guilty of something. I've been watching a show on Netflix, and I like horror, and I like the gore, and I like my zombies. And this is more of kind of a horror series. It's called Slasher.
Okay, I know.
There's 2 seasons out.
Mm-hmm.
And there are parts where it's gory, but what I find so fascinating about each storyline so far is, and the current one that I'm watching, season 2, it's called Guilty Party, the current season.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is guilty of something. We have all done something.
Yeah, I'm guilty of being amazing.
Whether it was a mistake or we did it on purpose, it was whatever it is that we're embarrassed by, mortified by. We all make mistakes. We all at some point do something incredibly stupid.
Right.
The difference is, and this is kind of the takeaway from even watching the show and as they develop the characters and realizing everybody has done something. It may not be the thing you think they're guilty for. So we've all done something. The difference is, how did you handle it? How did you deal with it?
Okay.
When you can own that mistake and you can move on from it, but you can take ownership of it. Okay, that wasn't my most shining moment.
Yeah, but
but this is what I did. These are the consequences of it, and I'm going through that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've had that with even in relationships. So it's all how you handle it.
Okay, well
then no one needs to spy on you because you're just putting it all out there.
Well, then I figured eventually this big mouth would come in handy sometime. So we should ask the question: do you spy on your loved ones?
I do. But I'm not so fond of the word spying as much as I'm attentive parenting.
Okay.
And in truth, it really is mostly, my kids, even my adult kids, just to kind of keep tabs, make sure everything's okay. I'm kind of mama bearing around, but that I would say is where it stops. Unless you give me probable cause.
Okay. I'm going to say the answer right now is no.
What?
Mostly because I'm disinterested. And check in with me in 2 years when I have kids old enough to truly date. Because I have a feeling I'm going to completely retract everything I've just said here. And we'll go into military-like surveillance mode.
That's often the case. I've gotten some judgmental comments from parents who have little kids. Then those little kids grew up, then they were like, ooh.
So at this point, I'll just say, watch this space. It's going to get interesting. As always, we want to hear from you. So go to the Facebook page, go to Matriarch Digital Media, and hit the send message tab. Send a message to me and Natalie. Let us know what you think about the show, today's topic, where you fall on the spectrum of spying on things and or people. And as always, because of you, we are able to do this show, and we enjoy doing it a lot. So thank you so much, and we will talk to you soon.